how do you ensure a successful transition between the owners or the owner and you guys?
Look, first of all, they haven't all been successful. It's not fair to think that it will always be. A transaction like buying someone's business comes with risk. There's no way to avoid it, right? The best way to minimize that risk is to be extremely transparent with what you expect in terms of transition, what you would like in terms of transition, and hopefully have the same level of transparency from the seller, right? So if you buy a business from someone who is selling you the business because they want to retire as soon as possible, and you structure the transition plan as a 3-year transition plan and make that person extremely mission critical to that transition plan, it's never going to work. Like that's not what they're selling the business for, right? So you got to understand why they're selling you the business and then structure the transition plan in accordance to that, right? And if the reason they're selling you the business doesn't match with the transition plan that's required, then it's probably a deal that everyone should walk away from. Like these things need to be aligned for it to be successful.
So again, I'm sure every deal is different, but what would a typical transition plan look like? Like, would it be an earnout or a year, or how do you structure it?
There's about a third of the sellers that we encounter that sell us the business with the intention to do a super, super quick transition. So one of the reasons we're selling us the business is we would like to minimize the transition period. That typically looks like a 3-month transition period and the ability for us to consult with them when needed for another 3 months. Like that's enough time for us to gain knowledge, find the proper transition, which we will look for before buying the business, and then kind of ensure proper transition, right? Then the other 2/3 are either in it for the long term, so they would like to stop being entrepreneurs and just be part of a larger business, which this transition is basically, it's smoother in a way, but it's also rougher because you're going from controlling everything to having someone to report to. Or someone that is unsure of how long the transition is, but would like it to be like a multi-year thing, right? So those ones, it's about defining the role in the new business and them settling into that role. And sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. But if you go from like, I'm the owner of this business, you have to worry about a million things. And if you go to the CEO of one of 95 businesses, you have to worry about less things in terms of number, but what you have to worry about becomes 10 times more important, right? So like if we've identified this business as one that can double, well, the mandate is going to be to sell, and you're going to spend more time selling and less time managing payroll and HR and a bunch of stuff that we can do for you anyway, right? So it's a very long answer to say that it really depends. But it's either 3 to 6 months with a transition plan, and if it's longer, it's more about the role that you're going to have within our business.
Okay, and to go back to valuation, a typical deal would be you pay 100% of the company. So our hypothetical business with $5 million in recurring revenue, you pay 2 times for it. It's $10 million. You write them a check for $10 million, and then is any sort of performance bonus earnout as part of the transition? That's extra, right? That's in addition to, or is that part of the 10?
It could be either or.
Okay.
Right. So there are some sellers that will take less money, but fully guaranteed, most of it on close and some of it deferred. Some sellers are like, look, I kind of love my business. I think it has a lot of potential. Is there a way for me to participate in the upside that we're going to create together? I'll tell you that I did the research, and for the people that like bet on the earnout, they've done better than the people that have taken the guaranteed money, but not 100% of the time. Sometimes it doesn't work out, right? But on average, if you're willing to share the risk, you're going to share in the upside, and we're going to probably do better together. But it's 95 deals, 95 different structure. The earnout could be X percentage, the earnout could be over an X period of time. We're extremely flexible and able to adapt to, whatever the situation requires to get a deal done that makes sense for both.
Got it. And how much debt do you put on the business?
0.
So this is interesting because the private equity playbook that I'm most familiar with is kind of buy 60%, get the entrepreneur to roll 40%, put a couple turns of EBITDA and debt on the business, lever it up, maximize ROI. What's the thinking behind not following the traditional playbook?